Hey, I'm Org, and in this video I will review the Tsh-2, the Soviet Tier 2 ground attack aircraft. Now, normally I'd begin a video by discussing the development and use of the aircraft under review, but this is not really applicable for the Tsh-2 because it only ever made it to the prototype stage. The TSH was a development of the Polikarpov R5 recon aircraft. The TSH-1 was simply the R5 with more machine guns and 6mm of armour plating, while the TSH-2 was a slight redesign of the R5 to account for that extra weight. The TSHs were designed as heavy attack aircraft and were intended to act in cooperation with Allied ground forces for extended periods of time. However, these designs were not put into production, apparently because the engines of the mid-1930s could not give adequate performance to such big or such heavy airframes. In wood warplanes, the TSH-2 has no direct rivals. The only other Tier 2 attack aircraft is the Pegasus, which is worst in most every way except that it gets rockets. As an attack aircraft, the TSH-2 relies on hit points and its forward-firing armament. With 250 hit points fully upgraded, this aircraft can take a beating, and its 10 7.62mm machine guns can handle the forward-firing firepower aspect of it very well. To the rear, the aircraft gets 1 or 2 7.62mm machine guns, which is a very good defence considering that that's similar to the forward-firing armaments of most fighters at this tier. However, in exchange for this durability and firepower, the aircraft has terrible speed, altitude, and manoeuvrability. In fact, this aircraft has a tendency to roll over and fall out of the sky if you are attempting to turn tightly at low altitudes or at low speeds, and this can be very unpleasant at low altitudes. Flying this aircraft well is not as straightforward as the attack aircraft title suggests. This is because in the TSH-2 I found that it was essential to prioritise the anti-aircraft role. Over the course of 117 battles I managed to destroy 137 enemy aircraft and 257 ground targets, while winning 62% of my gains in this airplane. I think the main thing you have to remember to do well in the TSH-2 is that most games are won by destroying all the enemy aircraft. So it's wise to kill enemy aircraft when you can, basically whenever they're at your altitude. At Tier 2, most of the dogfights take place at around 500 metres, which is easily reachable by the TSH-2. So you should kind of make an effort to kill them as your first course of action. The TSH-2 excels in head-on attacks, so don't be scared of getting into them. Also, you have more than enough hit points to survive most rams, so there's no need to break off from head-on attacks. Just keep firing, and if they fly into you, it's their problem, not yours. Essentially, once the dogfight develops, you want to fly the TSH-2 as a kind of heavy fighter, essentially trying and flying straight into the dogfights while firing at enemies, and then fly out the other side, and then when you've got a few hundred metres separation, say more than 500, turn around and repeat the process. If you have an enemy aircraft in your tail, I actually don't recommend manoeuvring to try and avoid them. I mean, unless doing so will get you support from a friendly fighter. Instead, I found the best solution was to let my tail gunner destroy the pursuer. Kind of the 2 7.62mm machine guns you have in your tail actually do fantastic work at destroying Tier 1 and 2 light fighters, at least. In terms of ground attack, I think it's actually kind of important to keep your speed up in this aircraft, simply to avoid the rollover problem that I talked about earlier. As such, I tend to climb when I'm not firing at a ground target, even if it's only a shallow angle, and then dive in them and begin firing once I'm within kind of the 600 metres range that your machine guns can affect that. I also have a preference to damage a lot of targets that are all kind of in a straight line, and then turn around and finish them all off instead of focusing them down one by one. And that's again just to try and keep my speed up so that I retain some manoeuvrability at low altitudes. I don't really think there's much else to tell you about flying this aircraft, but kind of the skills you'll pick up in here will be very useful as you head down this line of aircraft. As you can see here, 10 machine guns firing away to A4N, and it did a fair bit of damage, but the problem was it was at its maximum range. But this F3F is not so lucky. Managed to take about half of its health, but there's no way I can keep up with that guy manoeuvring. So I come back around, I've got enough separation I can line up a decent shot on the A4N. But, well, it's a lot faster than me and my team kills, but I got an assist there. And that F3F was on my tail, but my tail gunner finished it off for me. And so that was a nice, easy win. As an aside, I actually didn't get much in the way of rewards from that battle. I think I actually lost money. The thing is, in ground attack aircraft, you don't get much rewards for shooting at any aircraft. You kind of want to shoot at least 1 or 2 ground targets per match just to get some credits and experience out of it. Anyway, this is the last game I'm going to show you. It's on the Winter War map. And I was heading to the centre of the map because I figured that's where my team would go, but they chose not to, and I'm kind of way too slow to catch up with them if they decide not to come with me. I went to go dive on that P-23, but it kamikazed into some ships. And I see a Pegasus way back there, which would be... well, I could kill it pretty easily. I've got way better firepower, so if it goes head on with me it's dead, unless it has rockets. But on the way I decided to sink some of these ships. This is a tier 4 match, so these are the most difficult ground targets you come up with. See, that wasn't too difficult. The 10 machine guns are actually very powerful at destroying ground targets. I spotted a tier 4 fighter, the I-16 late, so I come around and I get some shots in it while it's chasing a friendly BSH-2. And I don't try and turn with it, instead, well, I can actually try to turn around to hit ground targets again, figuring that I've done all the damage I could, but the I-16 actually came around and decided to ship some shots into me, which I'm kind of okay with, to be honest. But inside, I see the Pegasus is now making its move, so I go and figure I'll chase that down. But the I-16's still focusing on me, so I weave a bit just to make it a bit harder for the guy to hit me. But my friendly fighters are on its tail, get rid of it again. The Pegasus is just coming within maximum range, so I start firing. And, well, under the fire of myself and the BSH-2, that Pegasus was just torn apart. Okay, I-16 late again. So I'm just trying to line up my shots. And while my aim was terrible there, I managed to shoot with my allies. But I'm able to get the I-16. That was a quick shot award, shot down a tier 4 fighter. And, well, just you saw me there, I was trying to shoot at some ground targets, but I was actually shooting at the ones that destroyed rather than the ones that were, you know, around to shoot at. Thought about going head on with that enemy TSH-2, but decided against it. Instead got one more ground target. You see my tail gun is doing its job, and, well, it's more that my friendly fighters are doing the work there. So I decided to come around and finish off this target. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be game over, at least very soon. Oh no, that's right, I'm going to get a few more ground targets. But anyway, this is pretty much what it's like in a TSH-2. I just mix up shooting enemy aircraft and hit the ground targets when I feel I have the option. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this review or maybe found it informative or useful, and I'll see you all next time.